Hey, sorry, Dave. Welcome to Tone Talk with hit the button before you as you were saying that. Welcome to Tone Talk with Mark and Dave. How you guys doing? We have a special guest tonight. We have Luis Maldonado from Foreigner. Thanks for
Hello,
joining
hello.
us. Nice to meet you and be on the show.
Yep. Nice to have me. I mean, nice to see you guys in my living room and no formalities. I'm cool with it. So whatever. Yeah.
All right. So just a couple things out of the way. Mark's mic is all screwed up, and so he's on the computer mic only. And we didn't have time to reboot, guys. So bear with us. Don't make fun of his audio. Don't say anything about his audio. It's just gonna be what it is. Okay.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's no echo. I'll take it the way it is. Believe me, no echo is. So yeah, Luis. So where is home for you right now? Because you're not.
I'm in Los Angeles. I live in Los Angeles, and I've been here for quite a while. I was in San Francisco before that. So all throughout the '90s, I was in San Francisco, and then in the early 2000s, I moved here, I was totally planning on going back to San Francisco. I had all my stuff packed in a storage facility, and I was like, I'm gonna go back. LA's a little too weird for me, maybe. And then I met my wife, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. Which part of LA?
Do you know the Woodland Hills, Calabasas area?
Yep.
Well,
I do. I'm here.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys are close. So did you have any of the fire issues? Hopefully not.
We were right on the border. We were right on the border. So every day we were like, do we leave now? Do we leave now? We had some friends that left for sure. There's some other people that sadly had got affected by it. But yeah, that was nerve-wracking. That was wild.
Scary.
Yeah. So I think like a bunch of other people, we're all texting each other like, are you gonna go? Where are you? Are you okay? We had all our stuff, a bunch of stuff packed in a couple of cars, and mainly like stuff for memories, photos, drives, everything that like pictures of our lives and stuff, and important documents. I didn't pack one guitar.
Well, I can tell you this much: many of my friends and colleagues and clients, lost everything.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And like crazy things, like whole studios and API consoles and irreplaceable vintage guitars and amps and it's terrible.
No, it's terrible. And the reality is when you need to go. The last thing you're thinking about is that stuff's important because those are our tools, right? But when it comes, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and like the first thing in my mind is like, I want to make sure she's breathing good air, and and it's just that whole thing was a shame, man. Well, that thing, it was horrible.
Yeah,
really horrible.
Yeah.
So what happened? It's horrible to watch that.
Up Clear Mountain, man, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
I heard about that. That's horrible.
Yeah, and my client Mike Landau, and
he lost
his whole house, his whole studio. That's the API console and the vintage guitars and numerous vintage Marshalls and amps and just like some stuff.
Yeah.
He had some stuff at my shop that was good. He had his one very famous Fiesta Red 63 Strat at another repair guy's place. That's good because, oh my God, that would be a travesty. But his original Coma guitar and everything, the original, gone. It's ash.
No.
Oh yeah. And all the other touring stuff and all the other Fender guitars and everything he had is gone,
Wow.
52 Telly and all that stuff. Yeah, I just feel for him. He's doing well and he's dealing with it incredibly well. But
how does I wonder how? Yeah, I mean,
he has a really
you can't replace that. You can't
supposedly,
really
you can't. But he goes, it's just things, really. It's just he has a good outlook on it, kind of, and it's just like, what am I going to do? This is just That's it, you know.
Well, I guess you have to make that choice of whether you're going to look at it like, God damn it, or like I'm alive, right?
Yeah,
because it was
he's
so
alive.
horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was so horrible.
yeah.
Well, when it comes down to that, that's the most important thing, right? You got through it.
He showed me a crazy picture there. Evidently, he showed me a picture of his property, right? And there was a backyard fireplace, right? It was like a like a fireplace chimney thing out in the backyard that they burn, outside fires in, And he goes, here's the weird thing. So that's still standing, right? Everything else is burned down to the ground around it. But in the fireplace is a stack of logs, unburned.
Wow.
The whole stack of logs, like ready for a fire, unburned. He goes, what? How does that happen?
That is weird.
When everything else burns right to the ground,
That is strange.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, like I was looking at the pictures going, oh God.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, and that's their home. So I'm wondering, like, because you hear stories, right, of like people that are completely displaced and other people that like have family and and I can't imagine that.
They're displaced. I mean, you know, but it's just him and his wife, and it's it's not like a whole family with kids or anything,
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him, but I know Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters. He lost his house too. Now he does have a family and everything. Yeah, I haven't talked to him about it or what's going on with him, but actually probably should call him. Just say hey.
I can't imagine that. It was, like I said, very, very nerve-wracking. But in those emergency times, you just think, okay, maybe I should go to Idlewild, or maybe I should just get out of here. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I just we have to do our sponsors. So I'm going to jump into that if you guys don't mind. Before we get too deep with Luis and
hey Mark, just for grins, turn off that noise reduction thing.
Okay. Is my audio really shitty?
Yeah.
Okay. It's off now. Is that
I
better?
think that might be better. Because it was cutting in and out a little bit, and like it was a little weird. So.
Okay. How strange. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, guys. So tonight, excuse me, we've got Sweetwater that we have to talk about because they are our sponsor and we love them. Have you guys heard about Sweetwater, Luis?
Actually, we did. Where there?
You played a show there, didn't you?
We did a VIB thing. We have this thing we call Very Important Beer.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's Bruce, Michael, and myself, and we just go there and we kind of play a bunch of songs, and it's hosted by like a brewing company, like a local brewing company, or and it's just kind of like one big messy party, and it's really fun. So we did one of those at the Sweetwater the theater there.
Oh
so,
wow!
Yeah, that place
very important beer. It's very important.
Very.
I know how Bruce feels about that.
Yeah.
Bruce loves his beer.
Yes,
yeah. No, well, him and Michael, what are they called? Zithrologists. They went through the full course to become like beer experts.
Yes.
Where they can I think he told you about that, right?
Yeah. In depth.
He was on
over beers.
Yeah, he was on the show too. So
yeah, he was on our show. Yeah.
Yeah. So they can definitely get into the Star Trek of it.
I mean, I've known Bruce since like 88 or 89 right? Or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I've known him a really long time.
Yeah, good fun then.
Yeah. Bruce is always fun.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Good guy.
Excellent dude. Excellent guitar player. Yeah, we have a great time when we're out and about.
So let's talk about Live Sound Month, Mark.
Live Sound Month. All right, you guys. So this is Live Sound Month right now. I think it's still going on. It's the 21st, so you got till the end of the month. And Live Sound Month, just so you know, that's including live sound and lighting, studio and recording gear, and DJing equipment as well. So, if you want to get a digital mixer or PA speakers, now's the time to do it. And you can do 48-month financing. I think that's this is on top qualifying purchases now through April 1st. So definitely check them out. We have a link below. That's our affiliate link. Anything you purchase through that link, it's the same price, but it gives us a little kickback to the show if you use that link. And it also lets Sweetwater know that, hey, we're promoting them. So please check out this link and check out all the products that we came out for Live Sound Month. Dave, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's better that I add it because your audio's terrible.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, anything live sound. I mean, everyone's in a band, everyone has, all you guys out there, have to deal with I don't know if you're in a touring act or a cover band or whatever you got going, or maybe you have both, or maybe you have all of it going. As you know, of course, Sweetwater is a great place to buy equipment in general, and you get free candy. And they're awesome guys. I mean, they're big dealers of ours. So anyway, if you guys need anything, just go to the link below and you can have it. And not only that, we have an echo on your part or someone's part, I think.
Mine?
I think Lewis's speakers might be a little loud.
Is there any echo there? Is that happening?
Yeah.
I think it's us coming through your speakers. I think we're.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if I should grab some headphones real quick. I wonder if that'll help.
If it's not too much trouble.
And normally it isn't a problem, but
I wonder if that setting that you guys did without, because it has that whatever you asked Mark.
Oh, is there echo cancellation in the setting on settings at the bottom of your screen?
I can do it. I can do it on my end.
You can? Okay.
Yeah, I can do it, and I can also do reduce mic background noise, Dave, on his.
All right.
Could try it.
I just did.
Hi. Testing.
Hello.
Yeah, we still got echo.
Yeah, it's still an echo.
Is it on my end then?
Good question.
I'll
tell you what, hit mute on your mic.
Okay.
Hey, check. Hey, nothing, right?
Here I am.
It's on his end.
It's on his end. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, unmute.
All right.
Well, we're just going to deal with it.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
It's not that bad.
Okay.
Sometimes you just got to deal with these things.
Actually, I'm glad because I wouldn't know where to look. It'd be like going through like a whole.
Yeah, don't worry. He says it sounds fine. Mark sounds like he's trapped in a Vietnamese underwater cave, but it's fine. Fantastic. I love that.
Well, we tried, people. So, hey.
I'm sorry. I am sorry to Luis because I really did not want that to happen. But anyway, so also our sponsors, we also have Thomann.com. Make sure you check out our affiliate link below for Thomann, and then also for fixedpedalboards.com.
Yep, fixedpedalboards.com for all your pedal lifts and interface boxes and sliding rack shelves, and hell, they make our chassis.
Awesome. So Luis, this is a short break for you on touring?
I don't know if it's a break. I mean, we started since January, I think. We already started doing these sporadic things and dates, and I just got back this past week from a week of shows in Florida. I'm home for a week, and then I start a bunch of other stuff again. So it's it's just constant movement until, let's see, the summer. That's the big chunk. That's usually the busiest that we get is during the summer, doing summer shows, all that. And I think it's going to go straight through the end of the year. So this is going to be a very busy year, more so probably than last year. So, yeah.
So much for winding down.
Nah. So the last, I'd say the last couple, maybe the 3 years there's not been a lot of time. You know, we get the time when we get it, and you know, we try to fly our families out so it isn't too crazy, but it's been very busy.
I can tell you, I can tell you, people, if you haven't gone to see Foreigner recently, you should, because the band is on fire. It's amazing, and you need to do it.
It's a pretty energetic show for sure.
Because I remember it was probably 2 years ago now, or a year and a half ago or something. I came down to the show that was in whatever that venue that now it doesn't exist again.
Irvine, right?
Irvine, that whatever that sort of temporary-ish sort of venue that was up there.
Yeah, that was like it was the original Irvine Meadows, and then they changed it.
They moved it over to the other place, and then now it's gone, I think.
Yeah,
but,
and they had never finished it.
Yeah.
But you know, they made this makeshift kind of like, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, and that I guess it was 2 years ago almost now. And it was man, that was an amazing show, the amazing band. And you guys were all great. It was awesome. It was incredible. Kelly's incredible. I mean all the songs and the wealth of songs, you know, like the catalog of songs is crazy. When you hear a show and you realize, oh yeah, that song. Oh yeah, that song. Yeah. Oh yeah, that song. It's like it's just hit after hit after hit after hit.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
It never stops, man.
Yeah. And even if we were to play for another hour, there would be a series of that one and it's insane. It's insane. I certainly when I joined, I was a fan. I knew a lot of the songs. I have a lot of the records, but I didn't realize how many of those songs had that much impact.
Yeah.
And so I was learning like all the songs, and I'm like, holy shit, you know.
I know this song. Wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, even the deep cuts are kind of like, oh, this song, like it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's really
so
fun.
when did you join exactly? Because I know I saw Bruce playing with Foreigner before you were in it too.
Yep.
I think.
Yep, that's right. So right outside of 2020. So the beginning of 2021. Mm-hmm. And you know, just so right at the beginning of 2021, that's when I joined.
You have an incredible band. I mean, Chris Frazier on drums, right?
That's right.
Incredible drummer. I was really impressed with on that last show, and of course Jeff Pilson. Well, he's incredible. He was getting strolled around in a wheelchair when I saw him.
Yeah, well, that's no longer there. He kind of he got himself back to health. And
that's good.
You know, now he's running around a little bit more, and it's wild. I mean, he really kind of willed that to be. He's like,
did he have any surgery? I thought he was going to get some surgery or something.
He did. He had surgery. Like last year, right at the beginning of January, he had to have some surgery back here.
Yeah.
And he only missed 2 shows, and that was it. And then it
was like a bone spur or something. I remember him explaining it, but there was like some bone growth or something.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it was. Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but I mean, he's had all kinds of interesting things, and he always seems to beat it. That's the amazing thing about him. He beats it, and it's like, holy shit. So it's very inspiring to see him
he's great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I mean, I've known him for a while too, so you know, it's
I bet.
He's always the sweetheart. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So everybody that you're mentioning so far is really kind of like, you know, top shelf musicians, you know.
Yeah, that's why it's so incredible. That's the thing. I mean, when you see it, it's done so well. I would venture to say almost better than the original band.
Well,
but hey.
Well, hold on. So let's comment just on these musicians, right?
Yeah.
These current musicians. You know, Mick picked all of us specifically, right? So Mick was there and he picked all of us. And it's interesting to look at the history of the band and look at Mick's history, you know? And when you look at Mick's history, Mick was kind of one of us, if I can say that. Like, he played for a lot of artists. And he had a lot of experience touring around and playing for different artists, playing on different records, playing in different bands. And he started this band. And everybody that had joined that band were kind of like people. You know, they all had experience, had played with a bunch of different bands. They were all in the circuit working. And when you look at everybody in this band, just look up anybody in this band. They have a wealth of experience and years of a body of work. And I wholeheartedly believe that that affects the power of the band, the power of everyone's musicianship, playing these songs, how it comes across in its performance of the songs, the camaraderie of the band. It certainly, you know, my wife and I were looking at a bunch of stuff before I joined because, you know, you always want to do your due diligence. You know, going, what are these guys like? How do they travel? What's it like? You know, what's the catalog of the songs? You know, what's the background of everybody? And, you know, we looked at it and we're like, everybody's played with a lot of amazing people. And that experience really accounts for a lot. And that was certainly one of the factors that made it interesting for me to go, wow, this guy's done this, 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 and this. And then this guy who plays drums has done this, 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 and this. Not just like all really. I mean, you know, Bruce. You know all the stuff he's done.
Bruce has done a million things.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane the stuff he's done, and it's kind of like, all right, cool. Like, I'm among like some really great people, and I just think it keeps the level of everything on a great trajectory. It just keeps it all up, you know. So it's been amazing. It really has.
What I find was very interesting is, like, I've seen Bruce when he first joined this band. Right. I don't know how many years ago. Was it 10 years ago now or more?
No, it's more than that now.
More than that. So I remember
when 15.
When Bruce just started with the band was playing small venues. It wasn't, you know, and what has happened over time is the brand has rebuilt itself to playing large venues and large shows, and you know, it's really it's amazing because that doesn't happen all the time. You know, a lot of times it's like an older band will just sort of sink. Yeah. You know, so to speak.
I've been part of those things. I've played with some of those bands. I've played with some of those artists, and you know, on all accounts, you know. Yeah. And this one's really this one has
legs. It just keeps going.
Yeah. Especially now, you know, there's been a lot of really great renewed interest in the band. And the other thing I was going to mention is it really is unlike any organization, because there's still like original members, like, you know, Al Greenwood and Rick Wills and Lou was with us. He was with us last week. He showed up for a show, and so there's this connection still. There's not like this us or them thing. It's all like this. And that it's pretty amazing. I mean, we hang with these guys often. We see them often. We talk to them often. And it's, I mean, I remember one of the coolest things Rick Will said to me, it was a couple years ago. He goes, "Thanks for joining our family." And I truly believe that even that spirit of things has allowed for this whole entity to keep going and growing. You know, you can't fake it when you don't like something, right? You've seen artists do that. And it's and that's when the beginning of, like, you know, starts happening. But I mean, there's none of that. There's a lot of love in this camp that really cares about what's going on and how it's performed and how it's perceived. And there's a lot of strength here. So no, it's amazing. I certainly, it's certainly been really fascinating being part of this whole organization and learning all the details and all the specifics on how, I mean, it's awesome. It's one of the coolest things I've been a part of, to be honest with you. And I've had a really good career. So, but this has been for sure the coolest one I've been part of, for sure.
I can imagine. I mean, obviously going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know, that's amazing. I just saw you recording with Lou. Like, you guys were in the recording studio?
Well, yeah. So there's been there was a couple of things happening. Let me. So there's these new mixes for the 404 album that are being put out for Dolby Atmos, and so when we saw him in the studio, we all, we got, you saw that picture probably with Jeff and me and Lou, right? Yeah. So we were at this place called, what was it called? Clear Track. It was in Florida, and we got together there to listen to the Dolby Atmos mixes. And man, have you ever been in a Dolby Atmos studio?
I have not yet.
Oh my God. So I love vinyl. I love music. I love the whole music experience, hi-fi, blah, blah, blah. This is phenomenal. Like, stuff's popping out all over the place. It's so multi-dimensional, and it's clear, and it's awesome. And it was really mind-blowing. So we did that and listened to the Atmos mixes, and that was really cool. And we also just finished working on something. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say right now, because there's going to.
You don't have to. It's okay.
But there is something that we had just finished. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, there's some cool things happening. Very cool things happening. Again, you mentioned the Rock Hall. That also catapulted a lot of interest, and I think it renewed also this. I think it renewed everybody that's part of the organization, past and present, to let's do some more shit, or let's do whatever. This is great. This is a good thing, and the music's important. How do we keep the music going in the right way? How do we, it's awesome. I mean, it's really awesome. So unlike anything I've ever been part of, for sure, or anything that I've taken notice that's out there, for sure. It's very, very, it's a unique endeavor, for sure. I'm going to keep saying for sure, like a Valley girl.
That's awesome. Why not?
What was that Zappa song, right? For sure.
Yeah, it's a Valley girl, yeah.
My wife was a proper Valley girl.
Proper. Ah, okay, yeah. Proper.
Very, very proper Valley girl,
So when they say Valley girl, is that from, obviously you have to be from the Valley? Is that what they're referring to?
Yes.
I mean, it's, I guess, the Valley culture here, I suppose. There was that movie with Nicolas Cage as well that came out, and
Valley,
yeah.
So how did you get into Train? How is that? How'd that work out for you? Just curious.
Oh, okay. So let's see. That was like around 2006 that I met Pat. I was in a band that was opening up for Train at that time. They were on Columbia, and the singer of that group didn't like doing sound checks. So, and it was a small group. It was just like 4 of us. So it was me, my friend Tim Hogan, who plays bass for John Waite, and this guy named Ronnie Crawford. So we just did power trio shit. We just go up there and sound check for half an hour. It just became this thing. So we'd like, all right, what are we going to do? Let's do a Humble Pie song, or let's do a Zeppelin song. And we would just check everything, and we'd just have a great time. So one day we were doing a Zeppelin song. We finished. I turn around, and Pat's standing like this right behind, one of my Marshalls. And he's like, what are you guys doing up here? And we got in a conversation, and we hit it off really well. And at the time he was working on a solo record, and he goes, I don't know where you live, but I'm recording in LA at Hanson. Would you be interested in writing with me? I'm like, sure. And so it started off as writing for his solo record. And then naturally he asked me tour this solo record with me. And I said, okay, cool. And, we kept writing, and then they started writing for a new Train record, which was the Save Me San Francisco record. And I wrote stuff, and one of the songs that we wrote was placed on that Save Me San Francisco record. And I just stayed involved as kind of this writer auxiliary dude, whenever I needed. So like if Pat would go do a private show or something, he'd call me to play guitar for him. And so I stayed involved that way. My brother ended up joining the band. He plays bass in the band, and he's currently still there. And, I don't know how many years later, but a few years later, Jimmy, the original guitar player, who I know, and we're friends and whatnot, and he had his third child, and I think he just was like, yeah, I'm good. Like, this is I want to be with my family. I want to be with my kids. And I got the call, hey, what do you think? And I joined. So it was kind of like a very natural succession of events that allowed me to, get in the band. I ended up recording 3 records with them while I was with them. We toured a lot. I mean, that band works a lot, like incredible. I mean, Pat is not just with touring, but also with writing. He's I don't want to use the word workaholic, but he values work, and he knows the value of it. And so, I mean, if we had written 20 songs, he'd go write another 30 with somebody else, and then another 40 with somebody else. I mean, he's a hardworking dude. And, we would do touring, and then we would do private shows. And so it was a lot of work, man, a lot of work. But yeah, it was cool. My time with them was I had a gret time. It was really cool. It enabled for a lot of things to happen, and I'm really grateful for that. But yeah, I have some good memories on that. We toured with Hall & Oates, and that was real fun. I'm friends with Shane Terrio. I'm sure you guys know Shane.
I know Shane.
Yeah. He's a neighbor now. So
yeah, he's here now. Yeah.
Yeah.
He brought some stuff in for me to work on a while back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What did he bring? What did he bring? A Marshall or what?
Soldano.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I went to his house after he picked it up. I was over there and we were playing it. So
he brought that in, and a million years ago, way back, I did a pedal board for him, like 10 million years ago, back when he was playing with the Nevilles and stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would imagine that you've made a million pedal boards
for a million different artists over the years. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think I have one of your power supplies somewhere, like in one of those old Raxus.
Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in here. I think I have a briefcase. I have a power supply, and then I have this custom wah somewhere. And it's this it was like early 2000s or something. It's a long time.
For sure.
I didn't even realize.
Long time ago.
Yeah. So I've got great memories with that band. They're cool. Yeah, we had some fun. The live shows were really fun. They're definitely like a party. Have you ever seen one of the shows?
No, I've never seen Train.
Yeah. I never went to the live show, but I've actually seen some videos, on YouTube and stuff of live shows. I mean, it's different, but Pat has got an amazing voice. It sounds like it's a great band, and it doesn't surprise me that Pat was really interested in you guys when you were doing Zeppelin, because he loves Zeppelin, from what I understand. So
yeah, well, we recorded a full version of Zeppelin 2 from start to finish. We
really
recorded. Yeah, no, it was called Train Does Led Zeppelin. And
wow. Yeah,
so we recorded it from front to back, and we released it for charity. And I think it was for Family House. And we did like it was like I don't know if it was maybe 2 week. It was like a 2 week, selected dates tour to raise all this money. And we played Zeppelin front to back. In fact, we did Heartbreaker on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, have to go look at that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I played one of what was it? One of those new Sound City stacks on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was fun. That was really fun. We ended up we did what was that, Mountain Jam on the East Coast. It was a Mountain Jam. It was the festival, and Warren Haynes came out and played with us.
Oh,
that
wow.
was really cool. Yeah. He came and did rock and roll, and man, he just
killed it.
It's all there. He's awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome
For sure.
I didn't hear the whole album, but I heard you guys doing the Lemon song, and that was killer.
Yeah,
So.
that was fun. Yeah, I brought my tape echo out. What else did I have? A little Rangemaster, a tape echo, a wah. All the basics. That's it.
Right. And a Les Paul.
And a Les Paul and a cranked Marshalls like that. So that was fun.
Proper.
Man, if the tone is right, you don't need much,
Yeah, no, not at all.
No.
Not at all, for sure.
Absolutely. We've got some questions.
Okay.
Let me dive into them. Let's see. Randall Aiken says, Luis, my daughter took me to your show in Raleigh, North Carolina last August. I was in the second row wearing a UFO t-shirt and you were pointing at it. Now my daughter thinks I'm cool for an old guy. Thanks.
That's cool. I love UFO.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see
What's not to love?
Yeah. So I did a little bit of work for UFO late 90s, early 2000s. It was like when Michael Schenker and Pete Way and Phil Mogg got together for like the last time. They had a couple of records that they did. And, I did some session work on those records. And something happened to Paul Raymond where he couldn't do a tour. So they asked me to tour with them for these European dates. And so I did those European dates, and
cool.
That was wild. That was really wild.
With Michael Schenker?
With Michael Schenker, yeah. That was wild. That was something else, man. That was something else.
I bet that was just like you're pinching yourself, sort of, kind of.
It was a little bit of that and a little bit of baptism of fire, because it was like. Now, okay, so did you ever see that movie? I don't know what it was called. Strange Fruit. It was about this English band that were coming back to. They were kind of reuniting again, but it was after like decades and decades. It's an English movie. In fact, there's a song on there called "Flame Still Burns," which Mick Jones wrote it and Foreigner does it.
Oh, okay.
So anyways, it's called "It's Still Crazy," I think in the States it's called, and in England it's called "Strange Fruit." But it's about a band that after several decades comes back and reunites, and they want to do these festivals and they want to go out and bring the awareness of the band to people. And they're all older, obviously they're all a lot older, so they get, who's going to play guitar for us, because their guitar player was missing or whatever, and they get this young 25-year-old guy, and you could see the difference in age, and that was me in that band. So I was 25 years old, and so that was kind of a real big experience to kind of go, well, so this is how these guys do it, because it's a whole different experience. Yeah. It was my first experience with like the legacy circuit, and it was just the legacy circuit was just becoming a thing, and it was awesome. I got to meet a lot of great people. In fact, I met Glenn Hughes on that tour, and Glenn Hughes and I became friends, and we're still friends. And so I've known him ever since. I got to meet Uli Roth, who is one of my all-time favorite guitar players. And man, he was cool. I have some great, not Polaroid, but remember those disposable cameras that you'd get at like thrift, Rite Aid or whatever. And so, so I've got some great pictures of me and Uli, and so I met a lot of really cool people on that tour. Yeah, it was wild.
That's great.
A lot of memories. I think I have like one of those, those mini VHS camcorders. So I've got like a couple of tapes full of like kind of like a tour diary thing. I kind of stopped halfway through because I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I just want to be in the moment. So I just stayed in the moment and was able to catalog some really funky and wild things there. So yeah. And Michael, man, he's amazing.
He's a monster.
Really,
he's still going.
When people say it's all in the hands, it really, really is. Like, it's 100% it. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I guess he's gonna do a tour where he's doing UFO songs now.
You know, I saw something that he's going to be at the Canyon Club soon here, and it's like something like My Time with UFO.
Yeah,
so that would be cool, man.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite Michael Schenker stuff right there.
Yeah, I think I got to see that.
Well, if I'm in town, I'll come with you.
Okay, we'll do it. That's close to you.
Yeah.
So I read.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Luis. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, you don't know how many times I've had somebody call me up. Hey, man, we're playing the Canyon Club. Come by. I'm like, looking at the time. I'm like, all right, I'll be by in 10 minutes. You know, I'm glad that it's right there. Rather than like, hey, we're playing the Whiskey at 11 o'clock. It's like, I'm good.
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. It's like, what time? 11?
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, whatever. It's all good.
That's fun.
For sure.
So I read that you also played on Shrapnel Records like early in your career.
Yeah. I met. Let's see, how old was I? I was 18 or 19 when I met Mike, and it was something real of non-consequence, but I helped do some recording. At the time, a friend of mine, Kelly Keeling, had introduced me to Mike. And now this is an interesting story because I had left Los Angeles and moved up to San Francisco, specifically Marin. And, it was like the backwards thing to do when most people are going like, I'm going to move to LA. I was like, I'm going to move out of LA, and I just didn't like what was going on at the time musically. I was like, so I went to San Francisco, moved to Marin, and I was there for about 2 months, and I call home and my mom goes, hey, there's this guy, Mike Varney, calling you. And I'm like, oh, really? She goes, yeah, I didn't want to give him your number, so here's his number, right? And I was like, okay, cool. And so I was working at the time at this, because I was just trying to get myself together. I was working at this party store, that sells balloons and candies and stuff. And, I was riding a 10-speed, and I was real young. And so I called the number, and, it says, hi, you've reached Shrapnel Records. This is Mike Varney, so on. And I leave a message. I go, hi, this is Luis Maldonado. And I hear, hey, this is Mike. What's going on? I'm like, hi, my mom gave me your phone number. He goes, where are you at? I go, I don't live in San Diego anymore. I live in Marin. He goes, what? Where? I go, I live in a place called Novato. He goes, that's where I live. Where are you right now? And I said, well, I'm at this place. He goes, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And he pulls up and he's there, and we just connect. And we've been really close friends ever since. Swear to God. And so we just hit it off, and he's such a music lover. Okay, like he is absolutely a music lover. You could talk about music for hours and hours, and we did. That's all, and we would he had this thing where he would go every Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, every Wednesday to Rasputin and Amoeba and whatever music store that was over off Telegraph in Berkeley. And he invited me one time, and we would go for hours just going through vinyl and picking stuff and buying stuff and CDs and vinyl. And it was really, that was like our the thing we did together. And I lived 5 minutes from his house, so we were always seeing each other. And then, shortly after we kind of just hung out, he's like, hey, I have this record, it needs some guitar. Would you be into it? I'm like, sure. And it would be like a Michael Schenker record that he did, or, hey, there's this prog band that I signed on so-and-so, but they need like some stacked vocals, because I'm a singer as well. And I'm like, sure. So I'd go and do these sessions. And most of the sessions were done at a place, what was it called? Oh my God, I'm forgetting. I was there all the time, but it was in Katati. I forgot the name of the place, but it was always here. And so I was always in and out of that studio doing sessions, and they were always late at night. So I'd get back home at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so, yeah, I did a lot of sessions. And then I had my own studio at one point. I had like, a board and tape machines and all this, and I would do stuff at my own house for him as well. I remember I had, some people come over to, I had Davey Pattison show up at my house, and we recorded vocals for this one concept record. And no, I did a lot of stuff. I did a lot of stuff for Mike. It was really fun. And I have to say that he's very key in my career. He definitely, I didn't think about it in any other way except like, oh, cool, I'm getting to do sessions. But he really, I really met a lot of people with him, through him. Yeah, he's very key to any career that I have now. He was definitely right there, helping along, pushing along. Great dude, real great friend. Yeah.
Was the style of music that you were playing with them at the time, was that like the shredder type stuff, or were you doing more blues based stuff? Or?
No, it was everything, because he had 4 different labels, I think, at that time. He had, Shrapnel proper, right? He had this one that he partnered with that was called Magna Carta, that was progressive rock stuff. He had the Blues Bureau one, which was blues music, or more, blues rock kind of stuff. And I think he had one more that was kind of alternative-y. If I remember, it was called Non-Interference, something like that. I think that was what it was called. So whatever it was,
you did it.
And yeah, it was, I get the call at 9 o'clock at night, or, whatever. And yeah, I still have some really good friends from those years in the 90s. I still talk to a bunch of people. John West was I met John West that way. We're still really good friends. Like, it was a really fun time, and I was discovering my capabilities, because he, if anybody knows, if you guys know Mike, he's really like, give me more. He was really about getting you to do not just the best, but to your maximum capacity. And I definitely learned what my strengths were, as a singer, as a guitar player, as someone who played bass, or even as an engineer. Like, I was kind of multifaceted dude. Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I actually have a lot of great memories from that, and I was hungry then too. I was really hungry. I was like, yeah,
oh, sure. You're a young kid.
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah. I want to do it. Sure. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah,
No problem.
yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'll do it.
Yeah. Like, whatever it takes, whatever I'll do. And I met one of my best friends through Mike, just in this way, where because he knew I was a huge Todd Rundgren fan, right? And this is how Mike would work. He was a guy that connected dots, right? He would connect musicians, whatever. If you're a singer or a bass player, blah, blah, he knew everybody. He was so well connected. People would call him from all over the world going, hey, we need a blah, blah, blah. And he goes, try these 5 guys. And he was awesome at that. He still is. And I met one of my best friends that way. He went and saw this band, Storm and a Dirty Mouth, in San Francisco. And he called me that night. He goes, hey, I met this guitar player. He's really into like Todd Rundgren, and I listened to his CD. Here's his stuff. Give him a call. And I listen to the CD. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's great. And then I call him, and then next thing you know, I'm best friends with this guy. And still, this guy was, you know, he was the best. He was the best man at my wedding, you know, 11 years ago. So he like, I've made really great friends from people that he, you know, he managed to, you know, connect. So great dude, really great dude.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have a question here from DS Luis. How would the Dolby Atmos recording translate to a standard traditional two speaker stereo setup? Would it translate?
Well, the whole Dolby Atmos, for what it is, you wouldn't get the full effect. You'd get a great sounding stereo image, but the whole purpose of the Dolby Atmos is that you're getting multiple images. So if the vocal is supposed to come right here and pan, it's not just panning left and right, it's going around you and above you and below you. So it's even more than 5.1, because 5.1 is surround, right? Where Dolby Atmos is everything. It's around you, in front of you. It's just going everywhere. So you won't get the effect on a regular stereo image. You really have to have a setup, which is, you know, I don't know. It's so new. I don't know anybody who has a setup unless it's a professional recording studio. But the other way is if you have Dolby Atmos enabled earbuds. Like I know that I believe that the Apple AirPod Pros, the AirPod Pros have the Atmos, you know, enablement.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's something else. I got to tell you, I as a fan of listening to music, as a fan of sound, as a fan of tonalities, man, it's awesome. I get chills thinking about it. And like, how can I replicate that in my home? You know, because you know, music is dimensional. Period. Music is dimensional. I mean, it's why people love live music. They need to feel it and touch it and have the full sensation of it. You know. Yeah, it's awesome. But I would suggest start with the AirPod Pros or some kind of, I don't know if Beats does it. Do you guys know if Beats has the
I'm not sure.
Atmos enabled? Yeah.
And I have the Beats Pro, but I can find out after this session.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. I mean, it's something else. I have to now. I have an unfair advantage because I actually went to a professional place to hear these Dolby Atmos mixes and how they were doing it. I haven't yet tried it on the earphones, so I'm going to. Did I just use an antiquated earbuds? Sorry, that's how the kids are calling it now.
Right.
I still got a set of cans that are like that with the volume on and the spiral.
Yeah, the coil cord.
Yeah. No, mine are the can, the actual, you know, the green or yellow cans that you listen to.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Whatever.
it works. What works, you know?
Yeah.
So speaking of live sound and feeling it and stuff like that, I saw you guys in Fort Myers, which was a great show. I ended up meeting up with Bruce after the show. This is a couple of years ago, maybe a year. You guys put on an amazing show. It was great.
Thanks.
But your live sound, you guys are all using amps on stage, right? And you're miking.
Yep. So yeah, it's all live. It's just a clean stage. So basically everything's off to the side or behind, right? And I have a 4x12 ISO cab, right? That I run, and then you know I have my Marshalls. They're right there. I have a 71 and a 72 super basses, and I just crank them, and you know, and I have a very minimal pedal board. And I have a phaser, a flanger, and a cool fuzz box that Terry Welty, my technician, had built, and you know, it's as pretty streamlined as it gets. And Bruce also has, you know, he has He has your
Yeah, he
amp.
has Friedman B100s.
Yeah,
and
he
the
has
pedal
that.
board that I built.
Yeah, so he has all your stuff, and he's got some 4x12 ISO cabs too. And and that's what we run. I think he runs, I think he has greenbacks and vintage 30s. And then I have those redbacks.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah, I was talking to Pete at Celestion, and we were discussing. He was like, "Try these creambacks, try this." I go, "Yeah, I just need something that'll handle the power of a, the power handling of a super bass, especially if it's wide open. It's just, And he goes, "Well, try these redbacks." He goes, "It's voiced like this, and it'll handle the power." And I've been using them since. I love them.
They're really powerful sounding, and the high end is kind of sweet too, though. It's not too bright, but it's not too dull either. It's like,
I think it sounds great. I think it sounds musical, and it handles the power really well. I also think that it's kind of this vintage modern mix, because with all these new amps, especially with the EQs, the highs are highs and the lows are lows. You got a lot of low end resonance in new amps, right? Whereas like there's not a lot of that in an old vintage amp.
No.
But the cool thing is, like, for instance, like, a super bass, it could get a little
woolly.
Right. And I don't get any of that with these speakers. So, I can actually turn up the bass a little bit and, run it at 4 as opposed to 1 or 2, and I'm getting this really great full sound. And I'm like, this is fucking cool. So I love those speakers. Actually, I didn't, high wattage speakers sometimes are, they don't sound too great, because they're only designed for,
great.
Those sound fantastic.
Well, I use those in, what I found them really useful for is in combo amps, like open back combo amps. They work really well. So I use them in anything that has open back, any 50 watt amp or something that has open back combo, because it's really solid in the mid range, doesn't get too scoop sounding, and the high end, because an open back cab is, a little scoop sounding, and it's a little bit fizzy on the top, right on top.
Yeah.
And those kind of roll the highs and give you a more solid mid range to it. And they just sound tough. They just sound good.
Absolutely. And even with the low wattage amp, it really just brings out all the great qualities of it. It doesn't have to be a high wattage amp. It could be just 15 watt, 20 watt, 30, and it sounds fucking great. I'm
into those.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. Those are good.
Yeah, I haven't tried them yet. I'd like to try. I'd like to give them a try.
They're great, really, man. I really like them,
Cool.
I'm used to, sorry?
No, I said cool.
Yeah.
And what other guitars are you using? I saw you mostly using Les Pauls, right?
Gibsons. Yeah. For most of my career, I've predominantly used Gibson guitars. It's going to be an SG, a Les Paul, and a Firebird. And every now and then I'll bring out a Flying V or some other Gibson, but pretty much one of those three: Les Paul, SG, or Firebird. I don't know. They work. They work great for my hands. I just like how they feel. I've always liked them. Actually, that was an SG was the first guitar I fell in love with. I remember having a Strat, and I remember feeling like I was constantly fighting it. But Hendrix played one, and so-and-so played one, and Uli played one. I'm like, how did they do it? It hurts, and you know what I mean? Like, everybody's hands are different, some people love that 25.5. I picked up an SG Junior, and I was like, fuck, this is perfect. Like, I just loved it. I love a flatter radius. I love the 24 3/4, and I love rosewood, fingerboards, and it just felt right, and I loved it, and I've kind of been the Gibson guy ever since. Ever since. I think my first Gibson that I got was a black SG, And man, I wore that thing out. And then I started getting more and more.
So do you take any do you play like any vintage instruments or like any instruments or
I did at one time have a nice I had some vintage instruments, and then I started getting nerve-wracked with like all the touring and stuff that would happen, or like, you know, a certain tech wasn't like, you know, we'd switch techs and like this wasn't there, and I just started getting more like you know, because they're vintage and they actually have a value, and they're a lot more value than even a custom shop thing would be. And so it was starting to be nerve-wracking to travel with, you know, a 68 Les Paul Deluxe, or, you know, and I did the whole thing that was opposite that most people do. I actually got rid of most of my vintage stuff. I think the last vintage thing I had was a 74 Strat, and I sold it to my brother. So I go, don't get rid of this one just in case. But I didn't like the thought of the instrument driving me crazy, right? I wanted to just, if it was solid, well built, and it sounded great, I wanted to be the captain of the ship rather than the, you know, oh, don't touch it because, oh no, it's got this finish. It's like, fucking play the thing. And I wanted to get more about play the thing, and, you know, you tell it what to do, and you make it from here, not, you know, oh, it's got these special firepower pickups that blah, blah, blah. That's all important, but it's not all important.
Right.
And it started getting, most people can handle that stuff. I'm a little bit more like, you know, intense about it. So it started getting to me, and it's like, I don't want the instrument to own me. So I got rid of all, and I hate saying it like that. I moved on from vintage stuff. And, you know, when Gibson started doing that VOS thing, you know, on the, what was it, early 2000s or whatever, the custom shop VOS stuff, I was so blown away by how good a job they did. And I still have my first VOS SG, and I went out on tour, and a buddy of mine had a real 64 SG, and they looked identical. And we were going, holy shit, right? And we went back and forth, you know, here, play this one, play this one, play this one, between his real one and then the one I had. And we were like scratching our heads, and I was like, man, it's like, it's
close.
I'm not going to say identical, but god damn, it was like,
yeah.
And so then I was like, well, cool, I'll just go get new VOS and not worry about whether it gets damaged or not. And you know what? I still have a bunch of that stuff, and they're still in good condition. They still sound great. I haven't done anything. Haven't really switched a lot of pickups. In the last, I'd say 6 years, I did switch out some pickups because I started using these pickups called Righteous Sound pickups, and I loved how they work with my hands. And so I put some of those pickups in my guitar. I've got like 5 guitars that have Josh's pickups in there. And but other than that, I love the custom shop stuff. I just got 2. Have you seen the red Les Paul that I have? It's a red Les Paul custom. Mm-hmm. So that's like my number one. Well, actually, I got 2 number ones. There's no 1 or 2. It's just, they're both number ones. So I have a Pelham Blue SG from the custom shop. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
This thing is all muscle. It's just killer. It plays amazing. It's just so good. And then my Les Paul Custom, which is this wine colored, you know, this translucent wine color, and that thing sounds amazing. And so those are my, I just recently, in the last couple years, those are the 2 that I got from Gibson, and they've been just awesome. I love those 2 guitars. They're my favorite ones right now.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. So how do you feel?
Let's keep talking gear.
Real amps and real guitars. There we go.
We love that stuff. So how do you feel about the Marshalls that you have on the road? Are you kind of nervous about having those on the road?
You know what? No, that's the weird thing. Like with guitars, I don't know what it is. I can't explain. I don't know what the psychology is behind it, because obviously there's some psychosomatic shit happening there. Because I know guys that tour with like vintage shit all the time. They're like good, but
right.
For me, it drove me crazy. With the amps, no, I don't. I don't have any issues with them. In fact, my two main amps that I tour with these guys, I have toured with these amps and have used them since like, gosh, the 90s. I've had these amps and I get them, retubed every once in a long while, but I haven't had any, there's been no issues with them. I just keep using them. I mean, I've used a bunch of different things. I've had different amps, I've had orange amps, Laney Clips, Laney OAR, super groups. I've had all kinds of shit. I've had a Vox, AC30 great panel. I love amps. Probably more than guitars for some reason, but I'm such a big amp head. And certainly I have a nice pile of them, but most of them are Marshall and high watt. So, and
good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I I dig them, and I had this conversation the other day with Jeff Pilson, and he was going, man, your Marshalls are super clean. I'm like, I've had them since the 90s. He goes, do you ever get any work done? I go, like mods and stuff? He's like, I said, no. He goes, wow. He goes, you've had them that long? I'm like, yeah. And I've had a bunch of them. Now, mind you, I have a bunch of them because at the time in the 90s, everybody was like tossing these out or getting them completely modded. Because remember, in that early 90s, we had like the Soldanos were coming out, the dual rectifiers, the Ecstasy was coming out. What else? The 5150. So all these high gain amps were coming out, and it was cool. I remember a friend of mine had like that first series of dual rectifier. I thought it sounded great. I thought it was really cool. But I was really into Humble Pie, really into the Faces, really into Zeppelin, really into like, English blues and just that, that power rhythm kind of stuff, AC, like just, and, I had friends that were getting rid of theirs because they wanted to go get, which was cool. They wanted to go get like a Soldano and stuff. And so I'd go, well, what do you want for that? I mean, I picked up a high watt custom 100, it was in the corner of a shop. And I was like, I did that whole like, whoa, is that what I think it is? And I went to the owner of the shop. I go, what do you want for that high watt? He goes, oh, that thing, just give me $200. So people were like selling them cheap or giving them away, or I could trade shit. I remember trading what amp was it? I don't know if it was a Tusk. Do you remember those amps?
Yes, I do.
With the weird EQ and all that. I remember trading a Tusk for a Marshall because the guy goes, oh, it's got a master volume. And he was, there was a weird amp, but it did some cool things. And I'm like, yeah. And somehow I had good fortune with the universe, and all my Marshalls were stock and all of them were clean. And I kept them like that. And I was like, how does Steve Marriott get that fucking powerful rhythm guitar tone, right? And I found out that you just turn it up to 10 and have a couple of
that's how you do it
with it. Yeah. And I was like, that's it, that's the sound. And I've kind of stayed there ever since. I haven't really, again, I've tried a bunch of stuff. I have some stuff too still. Like for instance, if I have a high gain session or something like for shredding and stuff, I'll pull out one of those amps, like a Rivera K-Tray or something like that. But most of the time, I just Marshalls, vintage Marshalls. Yeah. All
right, we got some other questions. This is a question for Dave, I think. Hello, Mark and Dave. Love the show. Question for Dave: is the Apache amp that was out for a while your thoughts on it?
I was reading that question and I was like, I have no idea what that amp is.
Yeah.
So, you stumped me on that, so I don't have an opinion.
Huh. Okay. Well, sorry, Nelson. Let's see. Philip Asby. What's up, Philip? Not sure if anyone asked about the cello in the background, but I have to. I joined late, so maybe it was covered. Nope, we have not talked about the cello.
That old thing. That's actually my wife is a professional cellist. So we have a bunch of instruments in this house, and that's her Roman teller, and she's used that on countless records and a lot of So that's hers. That upright bass is mine. My daughter has a cello, so and this iPad's on a 9-foot concert Steinway Grand, and so this house is full of a lot of acoustic instruments. So. And then I've got some pointy guitars in the guitar vault there, I like pointy guitars, man. Those are the guitars I don't really talk about in public, but we get to a party, it's like, hey man, I got this BC Rich Warlock. That's fucking amazing. You wouldn't believe it. I do. I'm serious.
That's great.
That shit plays great,
Any Kramers or Ibanez? Kramers or Ibanez or anything like that?
I have an Ibanez. Shit. See, the fact that I have an Ibanez, and then with the credibilities. No, I have an what's it called? It's called it's a Destroyer.
Oh yeah,
Destroyer. Yeah, it's a single pickup. It's a single pickup Destroyer. It's got it's got a brass trim with the keyhole saddles. It's got it looks like a DiMarzio Super Distortion, but it's not. It's a V2 from Ibanez. It's a single pickup, and it's this really cool black color that, like in the light, if you go like that, it's got a lot of like these tiny gold flakes in it. It's got a rosewood fingerboard, and it's you know what a Destroyer. It's like the Explorer with those little things in it. So, but yeah, I've got that. That's all I have. That's the only Ibanez thing I have, and that I'm interested.
That's probably the best one to get.
It sounds really cool. Yeah, I love it. So I have some things that that I have fun with. I got like a Rhodes with an original Floyd wrote the the FRT3. It's not the non-fine tuning one, but it's not the German made one. It's actually the Fernandez made one from Japan. It's like that's kind of like the Brad Gillis, that early Eddie. So I have two of those trims. I got one on this one Rhodes that I have. It's black with the gold. It's like the Randy thing, and then I have another one on a just this random Strat, piece together thing, and
cool.
Yeah. So
they're hard to find. Those bridges.
Yeah, they are, but I've had some of this stuff a long time, when it wasn't fashionable,
right.
When it was, now, like, I can't believe, like, I looked something up the other day, because I've got stuff that's like, I remember moving into this house. I had some friends that helped me move in here, and I have so much stuff buried in cases and this and that, and I didn't realize how much stuff I've accumulated over the years from touring and going into pawn shops and doing that. Oh, what do you got there? That's a script logo, blah blah blah. Or or what's that? It's a Univox phaser and a blah blah. Just I
sure.
still have.
You buy them.
What's that?
You buy it.
Yeah, of course. And not only
you stumble upon it, you buy it.
Yeah, you buy 2 or 3 because you never know. So I have a lot of stuff like that. And so my friends were helping me move, and I remember saying, what's in there? And they'd go, it's another 412. I'm like, oh, okay. So no, it's bad, man. It's bad. I remember I've given away a couple 412s because I'm down to 8. And so I remember like the last case, I'm like, what's that? And my buddy Stefan goes, oh, it's another high watt 412. I'm like, fuck. So it's worse with the pedals though, because they're compact and you could just stack shit and put them all in a thing. And so I've got, I got some stuff. I think I've got the sickness like everybody else does, but I'm I'm trying to move on from, actually I have been pretty good with buying gear. I haven't gone too crazy. I still look at, local Craigslist and, oh, look at that. Okay. An H&H power amp or whatever, yeah, I'm never going to use it, but it's sure fun to look at, or, always on reverb, always on eBay. You know, oh, look at it, an Aria Pro Urchin. Look at that. Oh.
I fell victim to that recently. I bought a Tokai Star guitar, dude, from the 80s with a trem, one humbucker, maple neck, and it was the right shapes. It was the same factory that made ESP Star guitars or anything like at the time. Yeah. And so I'm like, it's $550. Fuck it.
Dude,
it needed a fret job.
Oh, dude, yeah. No, you're making me so happy.
And the pickup, I already had like a bare knuckles double cream pickup that I'm gonna put in it, and it's this off-white too. It's like an off-white vintage white, and it looks badass.
Wait a minute, and you got that on reverb?
Yeah.
Maple neck?
Yeah.
I think I was looking at that.
You saw it.
No, dude, I'll tell you. Hold on. I think I have it saved here. Hold on. Let me see if you tell me if this is it. Watch. I'll check it out right now. Hold on. Let's see. Tell me that this is the one.
Probably. I mean, that's vintage white and Tokai maple neck, right? With a trim and when it came, the case smelled like mold. So we promptly threw the case away.
Dude, I almost bought that.
It was a mess, and it's already been refretted. And someone replaced the bridge, which was kind of a cheap one. So I got a better bridge and stuff and some better tuners.
What'd you put on it?
Well, there was it has to be. It's the spacing. It's the narrow spacing screws.
That's right.
Of the so there's a company that makes them for narrow spacing with a nice big metal steel block, like a proper bridge.
Yeah, dude.
And then I got some tuners and whatever. I had the stuff. I had some of the stuff. So really, it's $1,000 guitar now.
Don't be ashamed, bro. It's all good. I'm a big
no. It was cool. And you know what? Even when I got it, I go, these frets are shot, but boy, the neck feels good. So it would be good,
dude. So I have a handful of like Japanese guitars. Like I tour.
I love Japanese guitars.
I tour with a Greco Firebird. I have an Aria. I have an Aria, not Aria Pro, but before they went Aria Pro, so it's like 75. Yeah. And it's the Explorer. It's the actual Explorer, and it's made in the same time frame as the Eddie Explorer from. Yeah. So it's the Destroyer, and I have that, and it's probably one of the most amazing Explorers I played. I have a bunch. Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff.
I picked this up recently.
What is that? What is that?
It's an R9.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I for a second there, I thought you were going to say something cool like it's a Bernie.
Or no, I have the Bernie next to me.
No, he's got the real thing. He's got the.
I got the real deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Woo!
Oh, that's nice too. Dude.
I have the Bernie.
They play good, dude. They play good.
This one actually, I think, sounds.
They play really well.
This one, I think, sounds better than any Les Paul I've ever had.
See, now I should probably go get one.
Feeling jealous.
No, man, I'm such a geek when it comes to all that stuff. I'm really into it. I'm really, really into it. I love Japanese guitars. I love Gibsons. I like pointy guitars. I like weird pedals. I like 4x12 cabinets and Marshalls
and high ones.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
No, it's not horrible. It's great.
Beautiful.
There's some part of me that's like, should I feel bad? No, but I can justify it. I have an A rig and a B rig. One was on the East Coast. No, it all gets used. It all gets used.
You're a professional. Yeah. I have no excuse. See, you have every excuse to own all that. I have no excuse to have all this gear. Like, I should only have one amp and one guitar, but that's okay.
No, you should have whatever you want.
Yeah. True.
Oh my God.
Should your wife only have one pair of shoes also?
Yeah, that's true.
That's not, she's got like, let's see, how many cellos does she have? She has two electrics. She's got about five cellos, something like that. She's got her own pedal board. She's got her own amps.
Does she tour?
She toured for a long, long time. She had toured she toured with a lot of different people. She's like, I remember she put an orchestra together for Rihanna several years ago, for Kesha. She toured with Gnarls Barkley. Who else? She'd worked with Brian Wilson. So she's that level. So,
that's
so
cool.
so we never have a gear argument or whatever.
No.
Like for instance, if I'm like on reverb and I'm like, kind of hiding, like, oh, what do you look at? Oh, nothing. No, let me see it. And then, she sees some kind of like pointy guitar Charvel. She's like, cool, you gonna get it? So it could be dangerous because whenever she goes, are you gonna get it? I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
So then like shit starts piling, and then when we move, it's like, oh, why did I get that thing? And it's like it's another thing to move, and so no, she's been really great. I was looking at this guitar recently. It was and I just kept looking at it every day. I'd look at it, and she goes, "You should just get it."
There you go.
So she's really cool about stuff, and she also gets mad when I borrow her pedals because she goes,
"Don't you have enough?"
Exactly. That's her argument. So she goes, why are you taking the only delay pedal that I have? I go, because it's right there. I don't want to, She goes, out of all the, so I have a bunch of stuff that's spilled into the house, right? And I have an area of the house where I have all my tape echoes and whatnot. And just the other day, she goes, we got to make room for other stuff than the tape echoes. There's a lot of tape echoes. I'm like, what do you mean? 8 isn't enough.
That's so funny. Sonic Blue, 1922. Thanks for the super chat. Dave, just traded my early Dirty Shirley head and upgraded to a used 1x12 twin sister with a red back. Wow, great update. An open back cab with red back sounds fantastic. Bigger and more defined than my 2x12.
Yeah, it's great. It works fantastic in that amp.
Very cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's those red backs.
Yeah.
We got a super chat from Walrus. Here we go. Big Foreigner fan here. Dave, is there an easy way to discharge my BE50 before I remove the chassis?
Yeah, you want to know an easy trick for discharging your caps in an amp. So have your amp on, play the guitar through it. Just flip the power switch off. Leave the standby where it is. Flip it off and keep playing until it does all that sizzly and keep playing for a while. And actually, it will discharge the caps. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a quick, easy way. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that all the charge is gone, but that's a quick, easy way to do it. Most likely it is. Just keep playing it for a while just to make sure.
Yeah. I thought, what I thought you were going to say? I thought you were going to say, well, why are you going to remove the chassis?
No, I'm not going to do that because you know what? I've learned that everyone likes to retube. Like people like to learn how to retube their amps because there's not that many amp techs anymore, and
that's right.
They're not near me, and they can't give me the amps to work on, or they don't want to ship it, or things like that. So
yeah. Well, shipping's become a little bit of a nightmare. I've had a couple of things shipped to me and they're like completely destroyed. I'm like, what?
Well, I don't think I don't know if it's necessarily always the shipping company's fault. I think a lot of times it's how it's packed.
You might be right.
And if you buy it from Guitar Center, forget it. They're going to wrap it in a sheet of paper and throw it in the box, and then it's going to come to you broken for sure.
That's funny you say that. I bought a guitar from Guitar Center on a total impulse buy, and it was coming from Texas, and it arrived to my home, and I wasn't here to get it, so my wife called me and she's like, hey, there's this big box from Guitar Center. I'm sure it's a guitar. I'm like, yeah, open it up. And she opened it up, and she said the guitar was just wrapped in bubble wrap, and that's it. It had no case, no nothing. And I'm like, holy shit. Luckily, there wasn't anything broken, but I was amazed that it just one layer of bubble wrap.
Often, though, it's an interesting trick. Often, if you get something and it is destroyed, and if you call them up and you have your shit together, you can generally get a large sum of money off the product rather than returning it to them broken.
Yeah.
So and then sometimes for me it works out. I can fix it.
You can fix everything.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I can only fix so much. Like I had like this compressor sent to me. It was an old DBX compressor, and luckily I knew enough to be able to fix certain things of it. Like because what was messed up was physical stuff, right? Like a couple of pots got damaged, a VU meter got damaged, and I was like, well, as long as the board's not fucked up and still passing signal, I can fix that stuff. But man, yeah.
For sure.
Marcia A, thanks for tuning in. I was at the Clearwater show that Lou sang at. What a cool night. Woo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. The crowd went crazy. Nobody saw that coming, which was really cool.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. That picture that you saw of us together that day, he came out that night and performed. So it was really cool. He did I Want to Know What Love Is, and he did Hot Blooded, and that was really fun.
Cool.
Really, really fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. He's so great, Lou.
He is.
Great. He was such an amazing. He still is, but the albums are just so good. Son of Pyro, thanks for the super chat. Just bought from Sweetwater using the link in the description. Much more fulfilling using the link in the description than not using the link in the description.
We agree.
Use the link in the description. Yes, I like that. New Pro Mod Relic. Awesome. Thank you so much. Man. I appreciate it. And a friend of mine also just used the link. So yeah, guys, please use the link. It helps us out. And it's cool. We appreciate it. Miss L, Luis, can you talk a little about Into the Presence? Will the second album be released?
Okay, so Into the Presence is a band that it was actually like my first time that I got signed on my own as an artist. The band was called Into the Presence. Tim Alexander, who played drums in Primus, was playing drums on that record. And that's actually how I met my wife, because Tim knew Anna and Paz. Paz Lenchantin played bass on it, and she was in Perfect Circle and Swan, and she just recently did 10 years with the Pixies. And so he said, we should get the sisters to play on this record. I'm like, cool, who are the sisters? And Paz came out, played bass on the record. And Anna, my wife, who plays cello, she came out and played cello on a couple of songs.
Oh, now I know who your wife is.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. A friend of mine used to do a lot of production together on songs and artists and stuff. And she actually played on a song we did because we knew her because what song was it on? How did we know her? We know her because of the person, I think it was Rachel Hayden, that was new.
Was it Lily Hayden or Rachel Hayden?
Lily Hayden, sorry.
Right.
No, Lily Hayden. No, wait a minute. I'm getting all confused now.
She did something on set, like what was it, the Californication? They did something together. I think that was with Lily Hayden, and she's been around. She's done a lot of work.
Yeah.
So, but that's how we met. Yeah, that's how we met. And so,
and I knew I know Paz, and I knew her brother who is passed. Yeah.
That's right, Luciano. Right.
Yeah, Luciano.
Want to hear a crazy story?
Yeah.
So, in the early '90s, when I was in Los Angeles, I had this friend, Chris Butcher, and he had this band, and Luciano used to sing in his band. And me and him, we became really good friends at that time. And, we hit it off. We totally hit it off because we had very similar backgrounds. He was bilingual. I was bilingual. He had a completely musical family. I had a completely musical family. We had the same kind of sense of humor. And so we hit it off. And I remember at that time, this is like what, 91, 92.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that time he kept on saying, oh yeah, my sisters, you know, oh, my sisters are awesome. They're beautiful. My dad and mom. And he would always talk about them. And then, you know, I moved to San Francisco and, you know, just, you know, lost touch, you know, we all go our separate ways. And years and years later, right around the time I got signed to do this Into the Presence record, you know, Anna and I started hanging out quite a bit. And somehow we got in on a conversation of the late 80s, early 90s. I'm like, oh yeah, I had like hair down to my waist. And she's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, I promise I did. I used to have like long ass hair, blah, blah, blah. I go, come up to my apartment. I'll show you a picture. Right. And so she comes up and I'm looking for pictures, and then out falls a picture. And there's a picture of my mom, myself, and Luciano. And she's like, that's my brother. And it was totally like, oh, wow. Okay. It was interesting. And we were like hanging out in the back of the Roxy after a show. And, you know, and ever since then, hang on, check this out. And I've, you know, I have other pictures of him and myself where we're like arm in arm, you know.
I'm pretty sure that's how she came to play on this thing we did. That was through her brother.
Possibly.
Yeah. Because when I first met Luciano, he was working for Billy Howardell.
That's right.
And you know, and Luciano then was living with my friends. Luciano was living with my friends at this studio we did production stuff out of. And yeah.
Dude, I Anna's gonna freak that you knew him.
The person I did this with, she came to the studio. His name was Jack. And it was where her brother was living. It might have been before that. Yeah.
This is so wild.
He lived with Jack at this studio in North Hollywood. And yeah.
Was it when he was doing Big Milk?
Yeah. That's how we met him originally. We were doing some production stuff, and we went to possibly do some production with Big Milk, and like we saw them play and
get out of here.
Get
out of here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
Crazy.
Yeah. I haven't thought about him in a long time. Yeah.
Wow.
He was such a talent. It was crazy. We used to record him, and you know what? He was his worst enemy though, because he never liked what he did, and it was. I mean, I remember one night we were recording him. He was just off the cuff singing with an acoustic guitar or something into a mic, right? Yeah. And he was just off the cuff, off the lyrics and whatever came out of his head, just in real time, you know. And the stuff we had was amazing. He later erased it, and it was like, motherfucker.
Yeah. Anna's got some reel to reels of some of his stuff over here.
She'll probably remember Jack, who he lived with at the time.
That's amazing. Dude, she's gonna trip out. She's gonna trip out. I'll write that. I'll tell her that when she comes back. That's so crazy. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah. So, you know, the Into the Presence record, we released it on Razor and Tie, and we toured it for a long time. I mean, we stayed together for about, I don't know, 8-9 years. And then, you know, it was really difficult to get breakthrough. We recorded a completely second record, and, you know, here's the cliche of cliches, you know, it got shelved. And I never, you know, I always thought those were like myths of disgruntled musicians talking about, oh, I got shelved. Yeah, right. And I was like, that happened. Holy shit. Like, so I've got a second record that, you know, I don't know if I'll release it as is or I'll just record it because I love the songs on them. So we'll see. But Anna's all over those records. So, yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Well, Mr. Anderson, what's going on? Hey guys, Luis, when did you decide to become a pro? And was there a point when you thought about quitting? Dave, my 68 Plexi currently has an unknown brand power transformer. I will text you for more info and help. Thanks. I guess you know what that's a reference to.
No, but I mean, he'll contact me.
So when did you decide to become a pro, Luis? And at what point did you ever think about quitting?
I've thought about quitting. Actually, I'll be honest, I quit twice, but somehow the magnet of this life draws me back in. In fact, when I met Mike Varney, was the first time I quit, because I didn't really know any other life. I grew up a musician in a musical family, and my brothers and I, we all played, we all studied. I used to compete in upright bass classically, and so we were at a pretty high level of studying music, and I just didn't know anything else. So right around when I was 21, I quit music, and I was like, I'm gonna go try to figure out if I'm meant to do something else. And within 6 months, I was back at it. And so I don't think I ever decided to be a pro. I think I just kept following my music life, because so people talk about career, right? And that career is a word, whether you're a lawyer or a banker or whatever your career, that word is. And I never thought about music as a career. I thought about music as a life. I thought about music as a way of being. Because I love music. I didn't think about trajectories and landscapes and formats and who are we writing to and what would this be placed on. I mean, I know all that stuff. I educated myself on how to read contracts and all that stuff. So I'm very well aware of the business side of it. But the business is not why I decided to have a music life. Right. Music was the reason I decided to have a music life. The love of playing, the power of sound, right? The power of sound. And honestly, how I got into electric guitar wasn't because of any of that. It was actually tone. I was studying classical guitar as a kid, and I remember seeing Pete Townsend on Woodstock, and he wasn't even playing the guitar, he was actually smashing it. And with the fuzz box, and you hear this, and I was like, that's amazing. How do you do that? And I'm like looking at a nylon string guitar going, how do you do that? So that's what got me into playing electric. It wasn't so much skill of doing because I was already studying that. You don't get those sounds when you're studying that. And so music kind of really hypnotized me from a young age, and I never saw it as like I didn't know that there was any other decision I had. Honestly, I just knew that that's what I'm going to live my life as, enough so that I quit twice, trying to figure out if I can do something else. Can I do something else? And every time I did, it would just come back stronger. So I know there's a lot more to that I can articulate in a very short time, because it requires several degrees of psychology and emotional intelligence and belief system, because a lot of people ask questions like, how do I get into this industry? How do I keep going? How do I go further in this industry? And for me, I've never looked at it as like, how do I climb a ladder? And I'm not saying this in any weird way, or because everybody's got a different mechanism as how they get further in their life. But for me personally, it was never, I never looked at it like that. I just looked at, this is my life. This is what I'm really good at. And somehow the tool set that I have has to make way for where I'm going. Like, I always wanted a family. I always wanted a child. I always wanted, to have those important building blocks in my life. I thought they were very important, and I feel like I am a much more fulfilled person with that in my life. But this industry is the complete opposite of anything like that. A lot of people give their, actors, it's incredible the amount of time that is taken from them in order to get to a place in their career that's, to have some success. I mean, I've heard many stories of people giving up the notion of having children because it's just so demanding. And I couldn't foresee that. I was like, no, I don't think anything's worth that. I mean, maybe to some people it is, but for me, I wanted to have a music life. So if it meant that I was playing music at a high level, that I was able to connect with a lot of people, and that I was able to do it honestly and where I enjoyed it, and where because really music is about connection, isn't it? It really is. Music is about connection. It isn't about all the things that I said in this industry that are like, the landscape that we're playing to, and what are the formats that we're like. It's about connecting with people. And if you're able to connect with people on a very in a very deep way with music, and I think that's what will guide you. And I don't know, it's worked out for me only because I've believed in that. I've had that belief system that this is a life and not so much something I'm after. Like, I want to live in the moment. I want to be a full potential human being with the tools that I have. Yeah. And that's how I made all my decisions. But like I said, it's very hard to articulate in a very small amount of time because it's multi-dimensional, it's multi-layered, and it's there's a lot to it. So, but I'm very grateful that I have the life that I do. Very grateful. So, that's a good question. That's a very good question.
It was a very good question, Mr. Anderson. Thank you. We've got Bobby Augusto. He has a question.
Fucking $9.99. Get offline, Bobby.
Okay, he's asked us a few times. Would you sing for Foreigner if asked?
You can't ask me that question, dude. You can't ask me that. I'm going to text him right now.
He said, "Hey, thanks."
Yeah, thank you.
Is he a friend?
Yeah, a longtime friend. He's a friend from San Francisco. I used to actually run with him and his brothers. It was like, we're this little gang of dudes. He's Italian, so he's got, he does this thing with his arm because he messed it up, but he's Italian, and he's like, hey, it's really funny. I've known him a long time. Him and his brothers a long time. So they were like my family in the Bay Area when I didn't have a family. So yeah, I have a lot of love for those guys. Yeah.
You also know Caleb Newberry?
Caleb Newberry, yeah. Gosh, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Do you like orange cats?
Yeah, okay. There's all the inside jokes. Shit. Come on, man. I'm
seeing these questions like these have to be inside jokes, right?
Yeah.
Too funny. Okay, Richard Sekison. What's going on, Richard?
Hey, Richard.
Real amps, real guitars. Yeah, Friedman, Marshall, Head First, and Gibson. Sick Tone Talk today, lads. Finally can watch it live. Oh, awesome. Thanks, man.
Oh, right on. Cool.
He's in Australia.
Is he really?
Yeah. Yeah, I know him.
Saturday morning for this gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby with another question. What's your next adventure, brother?
My next adventure. That's actually, I know him enough to know that that's a sincere question. So my next adventure would be, honestly, there's a lot of things going on in the Foreigner camp that, there's a lot of things lined up. So with that alone is kind of my next adventure, is to kind of systematically do all these things that we're planning. It's not just shows. It's with some material that's probably going to come out soon too. And there's a lot of moving parts right now in the best of ways that's happening within the camp. And so that's honestly, I'm just kind of dedicated to this band right now. I was writing, because I write as well, and I was writing a lot to try to put out another thing on my own. And this kind of has
taken over your life.
Yeah, it's taken over. There's a lot of work to do, and I'm really excited to be part of that work. So that's kind of the next adventure, really. I mean, I'd eventually like to put out my own thing, where, I pull out every single 412 cabinet and just record it. So
yeah, proper vintage items and effects and make a cool sounding record.
Yeah.
All the goodies.
Yeah, all the weird pedals that no one's heard of before,
That's good stuff. You should do it. You should do it sometime.
I will. I just have to
have the time.
Just because when I get home, it's not like the last thing I think or first thing I think about or the last thing I think about, but when I get home, I'm just so excited to be home and let's go get Mexican food and or what, let's go, like my daughter, I'm like, let's go ride bikes or let's go, plant some more trees in the backyard because it looks like shit or just whatever. I'm just happy to be home because, it's like that time is always, fleeting. So, it gets wild.
I understand. Richard Friend says that Luis is an absolutely insane singer too. His voice is incredible. So that's awesome. Great to hear.
Thanks, man. Well, that band I was telling you, Into the Presence, that was the first time I got signed as a singer, as a writer, and as kind of like producing stuff. And so we toured a lot, and so that's the band I fronted for many, many years.
That album, is that album available to like download or?
No, not. You know what? I think the one of the singles is out, but somehow it got. When we left one record label, we signed onto another, and it got caught in this limbo of release hell, and so it eventually ended up getting taken off iTunes. But my friend who was my manager at that time, we've talked about like, well, let's get it back up there. Maybe it's a good idea to get it back up there, Right. But I've been moving forward with all these different endeavors and different artists that like I kind of just didn't think about it, and now I honestly haven't. And so when these questions come up, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that was a good that was a fun record to make. And my daughter's playing all kinds of instruments as well, and I want to get something up for her to listen to. Hey, that's your dad,
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your daughter?
She's 11.
Nice.
Yeah.
They grow quick.
Super. She's like 5'1" now. She's been growing fast and fast, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's nuts. It really is. It's just like before you know it.
Yep.
So I had a question for you also. You played with Lisa Marie Presley. How did that work out?
So my best friend Damon Fox, he played with her. He's played with a bunch of people. He's one of these guys. He's like one of us in foreign, like where he's played with so many different artists and the top level. He's been signed on his own with Big Elf. In fact, I used to be in Big Elf with Damon. And one day he was over at our house when we used to live in Toluca Lake, and he was talking about, we're going to start up with Lisa again. But the original bassist that was touring with her, Al Berry, I think he moved on to play with another artist, and they were looking for a bassist. And something happened in the conversation where Damon said, yeah, but they're looking for somebody that plays upright bass. And my wife goes to Damon. She goes, he plays upright bass, don't you? Like, that's what he studied. That's what he was like. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. So he gave my number to Michael Lockwood at the time, who was Lisa's MD. And we had a conversation. He's like, let's get together. I heard that you play bass and blah, and you play guitar too. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of a multi, I sing, he goes, yeah, we need someone that has a high range. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And honestly, it happened very fast. So like within about a week or so, you know, Damon's playing keys and, you know, and I'm there playing upright bass. And then, you know, we started touring and we did some TV stuff, and we played a lot of shows. So that was really fun. Actually,
Michael's an old friend of mine.
Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done stuff with Michael for years, and way before Lisa.
Yeah.
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 Going back to, I think, God, what? I can't even remember.
What, Lions and Ghosts stuff?
Not that far back. What he played with.
Was it with Fiona?
Well, definitely that era for sure. But then somewhere in between, he did something else too when I first met him.
Yeah, man. So he's great. He's a great player.
Michael's amazing.
He is amazing. He's a really great dude.
Ugly breakup there, but
yeah.
He was around. I was around when all that was going down.
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild. It's a shame though. But you know, while I was with that camp, it was a good camp. People were really amazing. And I got to say that she was one of the kindest people I'd ever worked for, ever. Great. She was super kind, like really, like you would not even, So she's greatly missed, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Sad what happened to her. Absolutely.
Yeah. Real.
Yeah. She was a beautiful woman. Let's see. I was also a big Elvis fan, so.
Who isn't?
I have a soft spot for I have a soft spot for Lisa Marie. So let's see what else. We've got some other questions here. Let's see. Kim Clements, Luis, you've toured with many great musicians. Can you speak a little bit about your time with John Waite and Lisa Marie Presley? So we just talked about that. What about John Waite?
John Waite. Okay, so I started. So John, I had met through a mutual friend. I don't know if you guys know Buck Johnson, but Buck Johnson was recently, you know, the auxiliary guy for Aerosmith. He did all the keyboards and acoustic, and he'd sing with, you know, Steven. And so he'd been in Aerosmith for many, many, many years now. But this is a long time ago, before all of us kind of like went off in our own thing. Buck had a band in Los Angeles. It was called Burley Clyde. And it was made up of a bunch of dudes like us that had, you know, played with different artists and whatnot. And one night, and we had the standing Tuesday night residency at where's that place? Harvell's in Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. So we did every Tuesday night, and we had a blast. It was just rock and roll. You know, he was a great singer, and I'd sing, you know, backup for this. So we had there's a lot of great talent on that stage. And Buck had played with John Waite in the past, and so he had invited John, who is local in that area, and he goes, hey, why don't you come up and do a song with us? And we started talking about songs. And before we did, John and I got in this conversation of Free, the band Free, right? We started talking about Paul Rodgers and Paul Kossoff. And we just hit it off, talking about certain records and the live thing and the Isle of Wight. And we just got really into it. So he got on stage and we did a version of Ride on a Pony. And we just hit it off. It was really cool. So a couple of weeks later, you know, his guitar player at that time, who's Damon Johnson, I'm sure you guys know who Damon is, mm-hmm. Brother Ken and Leonard Skinner and Thin Lizzy. Anyway, he was playing for John, and Damon couldn't do it because he had some other engagement. And John called me up on the phone. He goes, hey, mate, how are you? And how's it going? Listen, Damon can't do this 2-week tour. Would you be interested in filling in and coming in? And you'd be really saving me for this, because this last minute thing. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he goes, great. I'll have somebody send you the set list. And I'm like, cool. So he sent me the set list, and he had another one of those set lists where every song was like, oh, it's that song. Oh, it's that song. Oh, it's that song. Like, he great songs, man. And I love John. I love him. I love his music. I love his voice. I love his material. So for me, it was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. So I learned, it was about a week before we were supposed to do a bunch of shows. So I learned all these songs, and I remember calling, I think it was a tour manager at the time. I don't remember who I talked to. Or maybe I talked to Damon. I can't remember who I talked to, but so I go, cool. So when are we going to rehearse? He goes, oh no, there's no rehearsal. You're just going to go straight in. And I'm like, what? Okay. So, you know, I go, what about gear? He goes, well, just bring your gear to the first show. And so here I am, like, you know, pushing high watt cabs and Marshall feds and shit. And my first show was at a big amphitheater down right there in Orange County. It was with like the Gin Blossoms, and it was just killer. It was just a rock and roll show, and we had a great time. And so the following couple of days, he went and did this run of shows that he needed to do. And right after that, he goes, I want you to be my guitar player. I was like, okay. And so I stuck with John for nearly 8 years, you know. So I played with John for quite a while. And it was great. I had a great time, you know, and he had gaps in his years where I was able to do other things. Like I'd go tour with Glenn Hughes, or I'd tour with my band when we were able to, or I'd go do writing. So I was always doing stuff with him, and you know, I love John. I do. So real quick, this past summer we did a triple bill. It was John Waite, Styx, Foreigner. And, you know, I got to see all the guys again. I got to see John, and it was really awesome to see them. And, you know, Brent Woods. So, yeah. So he was playing guitar for John on that run, and something happened where Brent couldn't do the show because he had to fly out. And you know, I got called by Tim, John's bass player. He's like, hey, is there any way, John wants to know, is there any way that you could fill in for Brent on this one show? And I was like, let me talk to the guys. I want to make sure that everything's cool with everybody, but fuck yeah, I would love to play those songs again. So this was in Sacramento, the amphitheater out there. And so I went and just kind of listened to the songs again. And man, we got on stage. I played the set with John. 15 minutes later, I played the set with Foreigner. And it was like 3 hours of holding Les Pauls and shit. I'm like, but my back was like, oh my God, you know? Yeah. So, but I got to tell you, that was probably one of my favorite nights in the summer. It was just being able to play those songs again. And it was like no time had passed. We were all smiling at each other going, wow, like, fuck, it was so much fun. And so I always have a great place in my heart for John. Always have. He's always been cool to me. John actually, really cool dude. I remember during 2020, you know, nobody was doing anything. And, you know, there was a real strange time, obviously, for everybody. And I was, you know, I was going through a real interesting period of my life where I just was trying to get back to the reason why I do music, right? And my love for music. And that led me to make certain decisions that I was like, yeah, I gotta do this, right? And John called me out of nowhere, and it was like November 2020. He goes, call me out of nowhere. And I'm like, hey man, what's going on? He goes, hey, I'm recording some stuff. I just wanted to know if you wanted to be part of it. You know, I'm doing this acoustic record. And I said, where are you doing it? He goes, I'm doing it at the Doghouse in Woodland Hills. I'm like, dude, I live in Woodland Hills. So we got together. Again, it was like no time had passed. And I spent a whole week with him recording stuff. And he let me do whatever. He's like, just be as creative as you want. Now, most of the time in this industry, if you're working with pop artists or whatever, that is not something that comes out of people's mouths.
No, not at all.
Never. It's usually just play this, only this. And that's fine. If you want to do that, that's cool. But I was at a point in my life that I was kind of like, I don't want to do that. Like, get somebody else if you want something like that. But I don't want to do that anymore. And it was just a real amazing moment in my life because that's what I was after. And so when he said that to me, I was like, I'm in the right place at the right time. I need this so bad. And he provided that. And we had such a great week. And I was able to be creative as I could. And, you know, we hugged each other, left. And I just remember I was like, okay, that was a big sign for me. So he's been a wonderful catalyst for many things in my life. And I love him. I love him very much. So, yeah.
Ah, cool.
Awesome. I saw John Waite open up for Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you play with him at that point, or
No. I left. Gosh, was it end of 2010 or beginning of 2011?
Okay. Yeah, this was probably around 2021. I probably saw it.
Oh yeah. I was already with Foreigner at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a few more questions for you, Luis. Let's see. I just passed them. Here we go.
How many pointy guitars do you have?
What's your favorite song to perform?
Ooh, that's a good question. How about I give you like the top 4 because it's hard to
That's tough.
because there's a lot of the material is just as strong as the other. You know what I mean? There isn't. Oh, this song's better. They're like, it's insane the quality of songwriting with that band. Cold as Ice, love Cold as Ice. Long Way From Home, love Long Way From Home. Jukebox Hero.
Got to do that one.
And Urgent. Yeah.
Yeah, those are all good ones.
Yeah. I mean, those are fun to play. But so are all the other songs. But those would be the ones that I particularly look forward to playing.
I had Foreigner 4 as a cassette. I probably bought that cassette probably 10 times, in my teenage years.
Good record, man. It's a good record.
So it was like back to back. It was Foreigner 4 and Journey Escape, like right around. They both came out.
That's all kind of same time. Yeah, that's a great record. It really is. Wait till you hear it in Dolby Atmos.
I can't wait.
It is wild, man. Nightlife and Break It Up. Oh, get out of here. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Awesome. Jimmy Mack wants to know, Luis, do you play your super bass rather than your super leads? Yeah, he mentioned that. Can you tell us about your favorite Marshalls and amps? Super
basses. I have one super lead, but the rest of the Marshalls I have, which is quite a bit, are super basses. And this is before I knew that the circuit was very close to like the late 60s Plexi circuit. Because all my Marshalls are early 70s metal panel, right? Mm-hmm. And I just like the super bass. There's something, there's a punch to it and a clarity to it that I really, really like. If I really wanted to get into super lead, that super lead grind, it's not hard to get there by doing a few things, or even with a slight boost of like something. But yeah, it's really about the low end content is really what it's all about. Really, it's just there's a lot of low end content. Yeah. I know that the tone stack is slightly different, but not too much because I experimented one time. I have one super bass that I took that 68 bypass cap on the for the tone stack where it's like, I think, what is it, 33K and 68, something like that.
33K or 56K.
That's right.
So 56K is super bass and 33K. And then the treble cap is different.
Yeah.
But actually there is a mod that's pretty famous about putting the lead tone stack, but in the super bass.
Yeah. So I have that.
Because it's cool. Because it's just, it's a little more mid-rangey.
Yeah, it's 2 components. It's 2 components. And I did that. And I was like, honestly, like it gave me a lot more mid-range, but when I toned the mid-range down, I was like, I'm already in super bass territory. It wasn't that much. So my super bass is like, if I really want something, I just crank that mid range. I'm like, there I am. I'm in that zone. But I love the super bass. I really do. So
That's cool.
I don't know. Works with my hands. So super bass, and then if I want to get something a little bit more dirty, I'll just a 78 master volume. Can't beat that. Just crank that and it.
Right. No, there. Right.
Yeah, that's it,
there.
Man. Yeah, the Fawn Tolix. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a fan, bro.
Awesome. We've got our last question. Sandra Gunshevsky. Thanks, Sandra. Love you, Luis. Great show. I followed Foreigner for 2 years now. Did you enjoy the residency playing in Las Vegas? I'm from New Jersey, but went to 15 shows cross country. Wow.
That's awesome.
Super fan.
Thank you for coming to the shows, and thanks for the question. Did I enjoy the residency? I absolutely did. The residencies are really fun because we can kind of, branch out a little bit, because you leave your stuff there for weeks, and no one else gets to, it's not like they strike it; it just stays there. So we were there twice last year, the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, and the residencies are real good fun. You could just let loose, play, improvise a little bit. We get to do songs that we don't normally do. We would do like Girl on the Moon. We did a little acoustic section of the show, and it's good fun. And, it's fun to run into people like in the weird hours and like, oh, I went to your show, and everyone's usually really, really cool. It's super cool. I like it. I like the residencies.
Yeah.
I like being still, because then, you just have more time to just kick back rather than, the anxiety of like, okay, hurry, we got to get the plane, hurry, we got to get on the bus, and, movement. And it's just nice to chill. And then, on the odd days, like when we're not working, I get to fly home, or I could get, fly back up with my daughter, and
right.
So I love residencies. Yeah.
Great.
Really fun.
That's awesome. The last question I have is for me. So when you guys did Zeppelin, you were on. Did you guys also do the Howard Stern show?
We did. Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Yes, we did. And we played. What did we play? I think we did Heartbreaker. I think we did a couple of Zeppelin songs. Yes, we were on the Howard Stern show. I completely forgot about that. That was kind of a whirlwind 3 weeks of doing things. It was like, okay, doing this. We're flying over here. We're going to do that. But Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. So I forgot about that. Yeah. He was cool. He's really fun.
Yeah. I'm a big Stern fan. So
yeah, a lot of people are, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people. It's amazing, his reach. It's really amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Luis, it was amazing having you on. I apologize to everybody that my microphone was crappy tonight for whatever reason, but thank you so much, Luis, to come on the show. Fantastic to get to know you. You're a super cool guy and an amazing musician. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
You're fantastic. Guys, make sure you go check out Foreigner on the Road wherever they play at your next spot. Alex says, brilliant show. Thank you, guys. Oh, thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Just check out Foreigner. Check out we'll have our next set of guests coming up soon. We'll probably do another Ask Dave show soon. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe, please. Click the bell for notifications. Check out our social media stuff. And again, thank you to Luis. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. This was really fun.
Of course.
I didn't feel so guilty talking about gear.
No.
There you go. Yes.
Thanks for having me on. This was really fun.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I hope to see you soon. I'm going to tell Anna about.
I don't know if she'll remember.
My mind still.
I don't know. She'll remember that there was the studio that her brother lived in.
Okay.
And she came to record with us there.
That's so wild.
And she might remember Jack, who was technically his roommate there.
Yeah.
And all that. So
All right.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
Woo!
All right. Well, I hope to see you soon.
Mark, thank you.
Here in the hood.
Yeah, hang on.
For sure.
Goodbye. I'm gonna end the stream right now. Everybody have a great, fantastic.
Yeah, hang on a second while we say goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.